It is 8:38, and it's time now for our weekly news review and preview. And here they are to fill us in on everything is from the Rome News Tribune, John Bailey, executive editor, and our news director, WRGA's very own David Crowder. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
It's been kind of a slow week. For nothing to happen. For nothing to happen, but no, it's a lot of things going on in the news. And where do we start?
Do you want to look forward or look back?
Well, let's look. I think Rome Police Department. Let's first of all talk about the honor down at the state capitol with our police chief over the week.
Denise Downer McKinney, the chief of Rome Police Department, was honored at the state capitol this week. She was given the police chief of the year earlier this year. I believe, and I'm working off the top of my head now, I didn't just review my notes from earlier this week because nothing's happened between here and there, right? I think she was the first woman and the first black woman to receive that honor.
Oh, nice.
And, earned it without question.
Our police department, they're doing a lot of things. I mean, we're getting a lot of bad guys and gals off the streets. I mean, we've had gang bust. We've had perverted individuals on the internet getting busted. I mean, it's been working overtime.
Well, they had, and so Floyd County Police is the department that put out the information and actually made the bust and did the investigation. But that was also in concert with the Rome Police Department. And so these guys who turned themselves, and Lord knows why, they're all pretty young, I guess, as the real North Side babies, were busted. But I mean, these guys are suspects and have been suspects in so many crimes of houses being shot up, drive-bys, shootings, things like that. Where they're just driving through a neighborhood shooting up what have you. Robberies, some drug crimes, gun crimes, things like that. And they've even so much so that they've been on our radar. I was just like, hey, keep an eye out for these guys. So when they go in, pay extra special attention to whatever. If they get a court date, they get an arrest, what have you, because their names just kept popping up over and over and over again as suspects in any number of, crimes around. And they're all teenagers.
Well, that's a very sad part too.
It is, absolutely.
Yeah, because their life just is kind of getting started now. It's kind of a big hiatus there for a moment.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, and we were talking about this earlier. Armed robbery. If you rob someone, something, anything, and there's a weapon involved or what have you, you're talking about 10 years in prison.
Yeah.
And I believe that's one of our mandatory minimums. I could be wrong there, but we're talking about that's 10 years of your life, one way or the other, for a couple $100, couple $1,000, $20, whatever. It's a pretty serious thing.
6 figures minimum for me.
That's your robbery, right?
That's right, $100,000 or more. I'm out.
I think I'm gonna stay with low paying job.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, that's a guaranteed income right there.
Yeah.
And we've got 2 more suspects that in the Burger King heist there that their faces have been known.
List today. Yeah. I mean this week. So we've got those. We got one guy, the guy that is accused of letting the 2 guys in to rob the store. He's already in jail. They picked him up because he was employed at Burger King. And the other 2 guys were known, so it wasn't like these were unknown people. They walk in, especially you got an Atlanta Hawks tattoo on the front of your neck right there.
Yeah. Not many people have one of those. I don't have.
And again,
so don't complain about your coworkers, Tony.
No, we have to watch those guys down the hall. I mean, you never know.
Yeah, they might let some people.
They take one too many donuts out there, and they're not supposed to.
That's right.
All right. Well, we've had some real estate transactions happening with some sale of property and such. So what's going on with that?
We had some business news. Dave, you want to jump in on GE? Okay.
What happened with GE? There's been so much that happened this week.
So GE Property, the
yes.
Authority took.
I remember now.
They're still bringing good things to life.
No, he's right. So we had a couple of big stories. We had a company's real interested in purchasing 12.6 acres of the GE property. I think it's on the northwest corner.
Corner, and it's right there. It's known as the area outside the fences, is what they call it, and it's that area there, like
Kind of
right there at
fields.
kind of at the corner of where Redmond Circle meets Redmond Circle. There at Garden Lakes Boulevard.
Yeah, so if you think about it, like where that intersection, the red light, where it becomes Garden Lakes Parkway, and I think Mathis, or Garden Lakes Drive, or something to that effect.
Yeah,
Mathis,
it's on that side. So it's on the other side of the property from where the trails are. So they
Which
won't
is,
be
I think,
interfering with each other.
Obviously, there's PCB issues. There's whatever issues they're going to have to deal with. I think that we got the copy of the agreement. And, the company's going to have to do whatever mitigation. That's part of the sale, is they understand that there may be issues there, and they're going to have to deal with those issues. But, I mean, it sounds like a good use of that property to me. Right now, it's just sitting fallow.
Yeah.
Well, it was described as warehousing and commercial
space.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we had the announcement yesterday that another of these, another offshoot's probably not the best word, but company based
suppliers.
on the suppliers for the Q cells and for the just blanked electric vehicle plant.
The one at
Kia.
Yeah. The one at Bartow Center.
The one at Bartow Center, which is this side of Cartersville, so closer to Rome than to Atlanta. So we got Hanwha is going to build a pretty large facility to manufacture those cells, and then complement.
So
that.
yeah, another big get for Bartow County there. And they've been cooking. And that 411 corridor is starting to pick up too. And I'm working on a story for next week, talking about the Enterprise Corner, which is of course on Highway 411, not far from where these plants are going up, and how they're getting that property ready to market, and hopefully some good things will be coming there in the not too distant future.
Yeah,
So
just
There was conversation in the Development Authority meeting this week that they were just basically getting prospect after prospect that was interested in looking at that property.
Well, what is it? What do you think? What do you think it is that is really appealing to a lot of this industry and developers wanting to come into this area? I mean, has it just been untapped, or is like they're out of room everywhere else?
Well, I mean, it's nearby. You get a next to direct link. I hate to say this. There is a real possibility that we'll get a direct link on 411 to I-75. That's we'll just
now,
say
why
that's
would you
like
say
30 or
that? I
40
mean,
years.
what's wrong
I
with
first
I
uttered
think
those words 25 years
know,
ago.
right?
That's
but I think with this, with the potential of these developments coming up, I think now there's a real reason to do that.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, it
opposed
could
to just my convenience.
Yeah, I mean, it could work in the other way. You're not building the link to attract business. You're putting the link in
because we have business.
Because,
right.
Well, if you take a look at what in northeast Georgia with
don't build it, they will come. Hey, they're here. We got to build it now.
They're here.
985 through Gainesville off of 85, and it goes right up to. That has been a big feeder. It used to be 365 years ago, is State Route 365, and that area has reaped a lot of benefits for industry and just jobs and everything else. And I think now it's Northwest Georgia's turn. That is a real possibility. So
I mean, it is looking with these announcements, and these are all big announcements. So these aren't, and again, these are manufacturing announcements. These aren't warehouse announcements, which is one of the things that we've had a lot in Bartow, a lot in the I-75 corridor, a lot in Gordon County. These are actually, hey, we're building something here, we're employing, these are manufacturing jobs as opposed to, we're shipping. And this isn't to knock those down like the Lowe's Distribution Center and things like that. Those are great things. But this is what they've been looking for, actual manufacturing, like long term.
All right, and there's so many other things, and we're almost out of time. Let's talk about some things coming up for next week. City Commission is going to be talking and looking at the middle school funding issue is coming back around too, or they're still working on that, and that whole bond issue and everything. that seems to still kind of be up in the air a little bit.
Well, they see. I mean, to be clear, they did vote on this unanimously to approve these, but also, they can go back and say, hey, we want to revisit and change our mind, which is revisit. They're definitely doing.
Yeah.
I think the real question and the issue seems to be the expense of including, what's being termed as an athletic center, the baseball fields, an entire wing, which is, I think, was quoted at $25 million, $30 million, which is a lot, right? And so that seems to be the issue they're taking with it. And I think that's what Craig was saying on your show earlier, Craig McDaniel, City Commissioner Craig McDaniel, earlier this week on your show, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, he wants to go back and ask if it's possible to. You got the $54 million from this latest ELOS that was passed.
Right.
Plus, you got $16 million from the state. That equals so much. If they could use that money and do the educational portion of the project, the classrooms and everything, as well as the auditorium, and then do the athletic fields and the storm shelter when the next ELOS passes.
That might be a little easier to stomach, but if not, then you've got the selling of the bonds, but you also are it's your labor, or I guess you're possibly limiting any other type of projects that could come up over a 20-year period of time.
This is a 20-year, and to build on that, this is a 20-year commitment.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so, I guess the question I would have is, one of the arguments is, we need to have new facilities every however many decades, right?
Mm-hmm.
Rome High was built at the same time, and the argument from Rome City Schools, at least when Lou Byers was superintendent, was, well, we have the College and Career Academy, which alleviated part of that. Now, let's jump into this. As part of that College and Career Academy, there was an athletics portion of that. There's an indoor practice field.
Right.
And that was I would argue, that was the thing they tried not to market. They're like, hey, we've got all these things, which they do, but they didn't want to talk about that. And now the same thing with the marketing of the Rome Middle School. We need space, but they didn't want to talk about that extra portion either. Now, are these things needed? I'm not the person to answer that, but here's my worry and here's my concern. If we continue to throw SPLOS projects, and these are education, we've come to term, ELOST is I think the correct term, but we've tried to use education SPLOS just as a communication tool so people know what we're talking about. If you continue to use these things and have these big asks and not be completely transparent and completely open with what you're asking for, I think you're going to run into this issue. And the problem will be when that comes to the voters. If the voters don't believe what you're believe this is what you're asking for, and you're not really transparent about that, I think that's going to be a problem. And I think that's the issue that's coming before the city commission.
Well, one of the things that I've always thought would be the best rule of operation in government as an elected official or someone that is wanting to, get something to be provided by the public is, look, here's what we want to do. And then so what if it is a new athletic facility or whatever, and then justify the reason for doing that.
Absolutely.
A logical reason why to do that, and let the public make up their mind whether or not they would support that, or whoever is going to grant, okay, yeah, this is a good project to have on the list, instead of trying to go through back channels.
Right.
For it to, it just popped up, because that is where the distrust comes from.
Right. And for the record, we support, the Rome News Tribune supported this education. I still do. I think that it was needed. I took the tour of the current Rome Middle School, and I do feel like it's needed as a growing school system with a large student population. I also think the proposal that Craig McDaniel brought up, and that seems to have some support in the city commission, we'll see who's got the votes, is reasonable.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
In a growing community, education is very important. There's no doubt about that. You want the facilities, you want to have the resources available to educate the children of the people moving into this area for new jobs or just relocate because they like the area. And you've got to keep them up to par or beyond or over par to really, keep a good employee base and citizen base in your area that helps everybody. Right. So there's a give and take. I guess I kind of go along. I'm ready. I'll take it head on. Just here's what we want to do.
Yeah.
Give me your questions and
right.
let me try to justify or convince you this is why this is a good idea.
Absolutely.
And if there's a better idea, then okay, let's bring it to the table. Absolutely. And let's talk about it and see if we can adapt that idea and go that direction. All right, gentlemen, thank you very much. Our time is nigh. This will be posted a little bit later on today. We'll have this where you can go back and review if you would like to for your evening entertainment around dinner. I know a lot of people like to listen.
Yeah, can we edit out the part where I didn't know what he was talking about when he said GE?
Dude, it has been a week.
I'll take care
of another week on top of another week. So, yeah.
You're only human, Dave. We know that. You're not the Super Dave, but you're close. All right, it's 8:53.